This morning on Today's Money, the real cost of living in America. Over the past several weeks, you may have noticed your weekly food bill creeping up, and it's not expected to get better anytime soon. So exactly what's happening? Gary Kaminsky is co-host of CNBC's Strategy Session and author of Smarter Than the Street, Invest and Make Money in Any Market. Gary, good morning.
Good morning.
I think you'd be hard-pressed to find someone who's not noticed that food prices have gone up considerably. We have a list of some of the things. Eggs up 30%, coffee 12%, canned tuna 25%, hot dogs, something that just about every family has, up 20%. Why?
You know, again, viewers may be wondering why, if the economy is so weak or the economy is so, there's such issues related to the economy, why the price is going up.
Yeah.
And it has to do with inflation. Inflation is the reason why, at the retail level, you're seeing these price increases.
How is inflation defined, Gary?
You know, in simplistic terms, inflation is when you're paying more money for the same product, same goods or services, essentially the same product, you're paying more out of your pocket for that product.
Is it too simplistic to say inflation is good or bad?
Well, that's the biggest issue. Some inflation is necessary. You have to have some price increases in order for the economy to grow. But too much inflation, those that remember the 1970s, for example, is terrible. So you've got to have a fine line between some inflation, maybe 1.5% to 2%, and when it gets above that, it starts to hurt the economy.
Where are we now?
Well, essentially, the reported figures today is that we have no inflation. And that's one of the reasons why it's so frustrating to individuals, because the government will tell us we've got basically zero inflation, because a lot of their statistics are what's called ex-food and energy, which is somewhat ironic. So it depends on how you want to define it. Any viewer I know knows that they're paying more for the normal things that they spend their money on.
Why are we seeing it reflected in common staples? I mean, eggs, coffee. Why is it reflected more in these staple products, again, in everybody's home?
Because the manufacturers of these products are passing these incremental costs on at the wholesale level, and the retail level has to pass it through to the consumers to protect their own profit margins.
And the deflation, that is obviously the opposite of inflation. Right. Or is that something we will see here soon? Will that help us?
Well, that's been the biggest fear of the Federal Reserve and the government. The biggest fear is a deflation, which, for example, Japan was in a deflationary environment on and off for the last 20 years. When you have deflation, paying less for the same goods and services or products, it's great to be a consumer when you pay less, but the economy can't grow and businesses don't hire. And at the end of the day, the biggest concern in this country is the unemployment rate and how to improve that.
And all of this has to do with the Fed. And most people at home, again, kind of glaze over this. You know what you're paying out of your pocket. But in the end, this goes back to the Fed.
Absolutely. Again, even if you don't have any money in the stock market, you don't care about investing in equities, you're not interested in what's happening on Wall Street, what the Federal Reserve Bank is trying to do to stimulate economic growth and full employment is going to affect the 90% of people that have jobs and who are working, in the idea of creating higher prices to stimulate economic growth.
I was stunned that you were asked what should people do to prepare or deal with the higher costs, for example, of food, and you say set aside 20%, maybe a little bit more of your budget, because things will continue to tick up.
Well, again, when I was actively managing money and always tried to err on the side of being too conservative, and obviously in the last 10 years that was a great strategy to follow, I think that given what has been the game plan, the strategy of the Federal Reserve Bank today, plan your 2011 budget, expect that these staple items are going to go up 20%. If it doesn't happen, you've got more money to save at the end of the year. I think the lesson of the last decade is plan for the worst, and then you'll be better prepared. There's no way that the policies that are in place today, you'll see prices at the retail level come down.
So in your estimation, we're in it for a little bit of a haul, a little bit of a long haul.
It's not just it's not just individuals. It's at the state level. It's at the government, the Federal Reserve government.
Local governments cut back, and so we have to do the same.
We are paying the price now for a 10, 20-year period where debt was encouraged, taking on more, spending more money, and that is now we are deflating that bubble.
All right, Gary, thank you so much. Great information there, and you can catch Gary